Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's August 2024 and the world is a tinderbox. From simmering conflicts to a planet on the brink, the issues we face are more interconnected than ever. We're talking about the kind of stuff that keeps diplomats up at night, has CEOs sweating, and might even make you spill your coffee. But don't worry, we're here to break it down for you. Over the next few minutes, we're going to dive deep into the major forces shaping our world. We'll unpack the latest developments, analyze the potential fallout, and hopefully make some sense of it all. First up, we've got the big three, the US, China, and Russia. They're locked in a high-stakes game of geopolitical chess, and the moves they make have global consequences.
Then there's climate change. We're not just talking about melting ice caps anymore. Think extreme weather, natural disasters, and their devastating impact on communities worldwide.
And let's not forget about technology. Artificial intelligence is advancing at breakneck speed, raising big questions about ethics, regulation, and the future of work. The economy is another major concern. Inflation is soaring, interest rates are fluctuating, and the threat of recession looms large.
These issues are complex and interconnected, but understanding them is crucial for navigating the future.
So buckle up, grab your thinking caps, and get ready to explore the most pressing issues facing our world today. This is a conversation we all need to be a part of, so let's dive in. All right, let's talk geopolitics. Remember the good old days of the Cold War? Yeah, those were simpler times.
Today, we've got a whole new level of complexity. We're not talking about just two superpowers anymore. It's a multipolar world, with different countries, alliances, and ideologies vying for influence.
And the competition is fierce. We're seeing it play out in economic rivalries, military buildups, and proxy conflicts around the world. It's a high-stakes game with no easy answers.
At the heart of this new world disorder is the rivalry between the United States and China. It's a clash of titans, the world's two largest economies, each with its own vision for the future.
Sure, we hear a lot about the trade war, the tariffs, and the tech battles, but it goes way deeper than that. It's about ideology, influence, and who gets to write the rules of the 21st century.
The US is trying to maintain its global dominance, while China is rapidly expanding its economic and military might. It's a delicate dance, and both sides are trying to avoid a full-blown conflict, but the tension is palpable.
And then there's Russia, the wild card in this geopolitical poker game.
Putin's Russia is determined to reassert itself on the world stage, and it's not afraid to use its military might to do so. The conflict in Ukraine is a prime example.
Russia's actions have sent shockwaves through Europe and beyond, raising fears of a wider conflict. The West has responded with sanctions, but Putin seems undeterred. He's playing a dangerous game, and the stakes are incredibly high. So, what does all this geopolitical maneuvering mean for the rest of us? Well, for starters, it's creating a whole lot of uncertainty. Businesses are hesitant to invest, markets are volatile, and the threat of conflict looms large.
But it goes beyond that. These geopolitical tensions have real-world consequences. They're fueling global instability, exacerbating existing conflicts, and making it harder to address shared challenges like climate change and pandemics.
We're living in an interconnected world, and what happens in one part of the globe inevitably affects us all. Section 5, the road ahead, navigating uncertainty. So where do we go from here?
That's the million-dollar question, and there are no easy answers.
One thing's for sure, we need to stay informed, engaged, and prepared for the unexpected. The world is changing rapidly, and we need to be ready to adapt. In the next section, we'll shift gears and talk about another major challenge facing our planet, climate change. As you'll see, it's not just an environmental issue, it's intricately linked to the geopolitical landscape we've been discussing. Stay tuned. Section 1. A planet under pressure, climate change takes center stage. All right, let's shift gears now and talk about something that affects every single one of us, climate change. For years, scientists have been sounding the alarm about rising temperatures, melting ice caps, and the devastating consequences for our planet.
Well, guess what? It's not some distant threat anymore. Climate change is here, it's happening now, and it's impacting our world in ways that are impossible to ignore. We're not just talking about hotter summers and milder winters. We're talking about extreme weather events that are becoming more frequent and more intense. We're talking about rising sea levels that threaten coastal communities.
Section 2. From heat waves to hurricanes, extreme weather on the rise. Think about it. This summer alone, we've seen record-breaking heat waves across the globe. From Europe to Asia to North America, temperatures have soared to unprecedented levels, fueling wildfires, straining power grids, and putting millions of lives at risk.
And it's not just heat. We're also seeing more frequent and intense hurricanes, floods, and droughts. These extreme weather events are wreaking havoc on communities, causing billions of dollars in damage and displacing millions of people. Just look at the recent hurricane season. We've already seen a string of powerful storms, and experts are predicting that this year could be one for the record books. The science is clear: climate change is making these events more likely and more severe. Section 3. The human toll impacts and implications. And here's the thing about climate change. It's not just an environmental issue, it's a humanitarian issue, an economic issue, a security issue.
It affects every aspect of our lives, from the food we eat, to the air we breathe, to the stability of our communities. Millions of people around the world are already facing the consequences of climate change, whether it's farmers struggling with drought, families displaced by floods, or communities grappling with the spread of diseases.
And as the planet continues to warm, these impacts will only become more severe. The economic costs are staggering. Extreme weather events are causing billions of dollars in damage, disrupting supply chains, and jeopardizing global food security.
And the security implications are equally concerning. As resources become scarcer and populations are displaced, the potential for conflict and instability increases.
Section 4. A call to action, confronting the climate crisis. So, what do we do about it? Well, the first step is acknowledging the urgency of the crisis. We can no longer afford to ignore the science or delay action. We need to act now, and we need to act decisively.
Governments around the world need to step up and implement ambitious policies to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, transition to clean energy sources, and invest in climate resilience. Businesses need to innovate and adopt sustainable practices.
And each of us can do our part by making conscious choices in our daily lives to reduce our carbon footprint. It's a daunting challenge, no doubt about it. But it's also an opportunity to create a more sustainable, equitable, and prosperous future for all.
In the next section, we'll delve into another rapidly evolving realm that's shaping our world technology. From artificial intelligence to data privacy, we'll explore the advancements, the challenges, and the ethical dilemmas we face in this digital age. Don't touch that dial.
Section 1. The rise of the machines, AI, and the future we never imagined. Hold on to your hats, folks, because we're about to enter the world of artificial intelligence, or AI for short. Now, we're not talking about robots taking over the world yet, but we are talking about machines that can learn, adapt, and make decisions with minimal human input.
This stuff is already changing the game in countless industries. We've got self-driving cars on the horizon, algorithms that can diagnose diseases with incredible accuracy, and AI-powered assistants that are becoming more sophisticated by the day.
It's mind-blowing stuff, but it also raises a whole host of ethical and practical questions. For example, how do we ensure that AI is developed and used responsibly? How do we prevent bias from creeping into algorithms that make decisions about things like loan applications or job interviews? Section 2. The algorithm knows data privacy in the digital age. Speaking of algorithms, let's talk about data. In this digital age, we're generating an unprecedented amount of information about ourselves every single day. From our online browsing habits to our location data to our social media posts, it's all being collected, stored, and analyzed.
Now, on the one hand, this data can be used for good. It can help us personalize our experiences, connect with people who share our interests, and even save lives by improving healthcare and disaster response. But on the other hand, it also raises serious privacy concerns. Who has access to our data? How is it being used? And what happens if it falls into the wrong hands? These are questions that we need to be asking ourselves as we navigate this increasingly data-driven world.
Section 3. The Tech Titans' power, regulation, and the battle for control. And then there's the issue of power. A handful of tech giants have amassed an incredible amount of influence over our lives. We're talking about companies like Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Apple. These companies control the platforms we use to communicate, the devices we rely on, and the information we consume. And with great power comes great responsibility. A responsibility that some argue these companies haven't always lived up to.
Governments around the world are starting to grapple with how to regulate these tech giants and address concerns about antitrust, data privacy, and the spread of misinformation. But it's an uphill battle, and the outcome is far from certain.
Section 4. The human factor, adapting to a tech-driven world. So, where does this leave us? Well, one thing's for sure, the technological revolution is here to stay. AI, data, and automation are transforming our world at an unprecedented pace, and we need to be prepared for the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead.
That means investing in education and training to ensure that everyone has the skills they need to thrive in this tech-driven economy. It means having thoughtful conversations about ethics and regulation to ensure that technology is used for good. And it means embracing the potential of technology to solve some of the world's most pressing problems, from climate change to poverty to disease. The future is uncertain, but one thing's for sure, it's going to be a wild ride. And with that, we're going to shift gears one last time and talk about the economy.
Hold on tight, folks, because the economy is about to take us on a wild ride. Remember those carefree days of low inflation, steady growth, and predictable interest rates? Yeah, those days are gone.
We're in a whole new economic landscape now, one marked by uncertainty, volatility, and a whole lot of head-scratching from the experts. From Wall Street to Main Street, people are feeling the pinch.
So what's driving this economic roller coaster? Well, there's no single answer, but a confluence of factors is creating the perfect storm. We're talking about the lingering effects of the pandemic, supply chain disruptions, geopolitical tensions, and let's not forget about climate change, which is already impacting agricultural yields and driving up food prices. Let's start with the elephant in the room: inflation. It's the word on everyone's lips these days, and for good reason. Prices for everything from groceries to gas to housing are skyrocketing, and it's putting a serious strain on household budgets.
Remember when you could fill up your gas tank for under $40? Or buy a dozen eggs without taking out a small loan? Those days feel like a distant memory. And it's not just a minor inconvenience. For many families, it's a full-blown crisis.
Wages aren't keeping up with the rising cost of living, which means people are having to make tough choices about what to cut back on. And let's be clear, this isn't just a problem for low-income households. Middle-class families are feeling the squeeze too. So, what can be done about this inflation monster? Well, that's where things get even trickier. Central banks around the world are caught in a delicate balancing act. They need to raise interest rates to try to cool down the economy and rein in inflation.
But here's the catch: raising interest rates too quickly could trigger a recession. And nobody wants that. It's a high-stakes game of economic chess, and the stakes couldn't be higher.
Governments are also under pressure to provide relief to citizens struggling with the rising cost of living. But finding the right policy solutions without exacerbating inflation is proving to be a major challenge. Section 4. The global picture, interconnected economies, shared challenges. And here's the thing about the economy. It's not confined by borders. We live in a globalized world, which means that economic shocks in one part of the globe can ripple outwards and impact us all. Take the war in Ukraine, for example. It's a humanitarian tragedy first and foremost, but it's also having a profound impact on the global economy, driving up energy prices, disrupting supply chains, and contributing to food shortages in some parts of the world. The bottom line is that we're all in this together. The economic challenges we face are complex, interconnected, and there are no easy solutions. But by understanding the forces at play, engaging in informed discussions, and demanding action from our leaders, we can navigate this turbulent economic landscape and build a more stable and equitable future for all.
Section 1. A world at a crossroads. So there you have it. From geopolitical chess matches to a planet in peril, from runaway technology to an economy on a roller coaster, we've covered a lot of ground today. It's enough to make your head spin, right? The world is facing some serious challenges, there's no denying that, but here's the thing. Understanding these challenges is the first step towards addressing them. We can't bury our heads in the sand and pretend everything is fine because it's not. We're at a crossroads, folks. The decisions we make today, both individually and collectively, will shape the world of tomorrow. And that's both a daunting responsibility and an incredible opportunity. Section 2. The power of awareness. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This is all so overwhelming. What difference can I possibly make? And trust me, I get it. It's easy to feel powerless in the face of such complex global issues. But here's the thing about awareness. It's contagious. When you start paying attention to the world around you, when you start asking questions and seeking out information, it sparks something within you. And that spark can ignite a fire. It might start with a conversation with a friend or family member. It might lead you to support a cause you're passionate about. It might even inspire you to run for office or start a movement. Never underestimate the power of one voice, one action, one idea to create change. Section 3. Stay informed, stay engaged. So, here's my challenge to you. Don't tune out. Don't give in to apathy or despair. Stay informed, stay engaged, and stay hopeful. Read books, watch documentaries, listen to podcasts. Follow thought leaders and organizations working on the front lines of these issues. Educate yourself and others. And most importantly, don't be afraid to speak up and demand better from our leaders. The world needs your voice. It needs your passion. It needs your action. Because together, we can create a brighter, more sustainable, and more just future for all. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay curious.